I think it's more about the player than necessarily the pick. It was a power pick in spring. It still can be a power pick, but they're respecting now also CoreJJ with 2 bans. We haven't really seen CoreJJ have to sweat in recent memory. He played some new champions in the last series that Samsung played, but Zyra has been his career best support. 81% win rate over 26 games. Karma his second most played, and also a flex pick for Crown. So kind of understandable to see the attention there. And I'd love to see what happens in the draft if there was triple support ban, because we know CoreJJ can play other supports, and here it is. Okay,
all right.
Got what I wanted. Triple support ban, and maybe a support first pick for MVP. But because they've kind of so heavily tunneled on one role, Samsung's last ban can play with fire, and they decide, no, Ian, sorry, no undefeated Syndra and LCK for you.
Yeah. Not going to be giving that one over for him. Let's see where they're going to go as far as CoreJJ is concerned, but with the Galio up, that will just be the immediate lock-in. So could be, triple flex that we do have going on here. Would not be surprised at all for Max.
Really? You could see Max playing support Galio?
Somehow, some way, yes. I looked in my
all right, here's a job for you. Whatever MVP lock-in, tell me if it could be a Max support. We've only got Galio so far.
I'll answer in advance, yes.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if you commit to that. As Samsung, they were looking at the slides pre-game, feeling the ambition going on. Gragas still could be QV, but the percentages certainly show that it's likely to be the jungle Gragas. And with all 80 carries available, Ruler certainly seems to be in the Varus school of thought. Right now, this season, Varus has been a big pick for him. 4-1 already, given they've only played 3 series. Lets you know that he's on his comfort, that's for sure.
Maybe going to change things up a little bit here. The Jarvan. Don't even think about it for too long. They go ahead and lock that one up. More than likely going to be for the top lane, and no way.
Could it be a support Achilles?
He's got that fear on the
that's true.
On the ultimate now, so very well could be. But they'll go ahead, change things up. Look, flipping through a couple different options. We've seen Maha already play the Ashe once this season. Did not come up with the win. Actually, nice little second there. Flips over, blocks in the Jhin.
Could it be a support Achilles?
Yeah, Deadly Flourish.
I'm being that kid who's like, are we there yet? I'm like, is
it
a support yet? What are you thinking? Have we got 3 here? 3 possible?
Could be a support Jarvan, for sure.
It could definitely be a support Jarvan.
The Jhin is definitely starting to get out there, but...
you know who else is getting out there? Samsung just locking in comfort on every player. Kled has been the most played from QV, most played from Ruler, has been the Varus. We already saw that Ambition is undefeated on the Gragas, and, well, now Samsung decided they would like to ban some supports as well.
Get rid of the brand. Do they ban the Blitzcrank? We know that Max... we'll bring that one out. Already played it twice. Not to much effect, but
Had success in previous seasons, but this season certainly hasn't been as big a pick, because my goodness, we've got almost nothing going on in the support role. It must be Blitzcrank time.
It's time for Blitzcrank, and I don't know, maybe locking up Braum or something on first pick.
Oh,
actually going to be the Vel'Koz.
Vel'Koz.
All right, well, time for Science support.
This is like blind pick Blitzcrank territory at some point. There's no harassed supports left.
Did we get to see the CoreJJ Blitzcrank?
I'd love to see the CoreJJ Blitzcrank. There's actually few things I knew I wanted more than right now hearing the words CoreJJ Blitzcrank.
I mean, his thresh is pretty good. So, both hookers, so go ahead, toss it out.
That's true. I believe the other broadcast called it the Red Light District bot lane.
Yep.
We won't call it that. We don't steal things. We reference them, though. Looking at Samsung here, the Victor ban makes sense if you saw the last series from Samsung as, well, it seemed that Crown decided that screw it, don't want to learn new champions, gone back to Victor, and it went to pretty good effect. So Victor going to be respect banned, and they found a ranged support that fits the meta, amusingly, in the bot lane, as CoreJJ's played a bit of Bard in his career, but definitely kind of a big second to a lot of the other ones that were banned away.
There's also a takeaway from Max. He's played it twice so far. 1-1 on that, I believe, as well as twice on the Blitzcrank. So outside of that, he's only played the Thresh once.
And here we go, ADD onto the Rumble. Of the new Rumble school, which kind of had to come through in spring, I thought ADD was one of the better ones. He was actually pretty good with his use of the Equalizer, but it is a self-counter pick in many ways, apart from that awkward early phase for the Kled. So, risky choice with the Rumble.
So from what we can tell, unless there's going to be some interesting shakeups, Galio support coming through here for Max, with the J4 actually in the jungle.
J4 jungle, or it could be Rumble jungle. We haven't had Rumble jungle in Korea as a pick. EULCS China, it's been a pretty big pick. Well, we're going to have to wait to 20 seconds to get that confirmation.
Yeah, they'll keep shifting it back and forth to try to mess with us
Samsung is too. They're like, we might have Talia jungle. but it won't be.
Vision's like, please no.
So much comfort. 4 out of 5 players on ultra comfort for the summer season on the side of Samsung Galaxy. Waiting for that 20-second mark. We're going to be denied.
It will be J4.
You got it. You got your production monitor over there. Mr. Cool over there.
Yeah, I hit a button to change everything so I can see.
Last time we saw a Jarvan jungle, he almost died to Krugs. I believe it was MSI.
Yeah,
so.
but then he got that like +3 armor buff that he was.
Yeah, now he's going to almost sort of die.
Yes, and now his Aegis gets more shield per enemy's hit.
Cinderhawk got buffed. I think it will probably be a tank Jarvan. It'd be lovely if you could throw in a Titanic Hydra somewhere, but Tiamat's always been a great rush. But Beyond has always been a bit of left of center, as a Mumu jungle, sadly, is a thing of previous seasons. I know I said a single cheer on that.
Even with the buffs that he received.
But it is a pick comp from MVP, so at least that part is good. Whenever I saw MVP moving away from that in some of their recent series, they need to go back with what they're strongest, which is the pick comp. But ultra comfort for Samsung Galaxy. You can't help but bet on Samsung.
Yeah, it just seems like they have everything sussed out here as far as the meta goes. They're looking really strong, looking to maintain that first place spot. Let's go ahead, load up onto Summoner's Rift and see what happens. Game 1, MVP versus Samsung Galaxy. Well, still plenty of MVP fans showing up here today.
They're hyped. They actually had the win of the voice over the two teams. There's a max...
Do they have the entire team? Nope. All right.
It's a max gift thing going on there. Interesting.
I thought maybe each of them was going to have a different player, but it's all just max.
Somehow we didn't get Blitzcrank with this many support bans.
Whatever.
I'm getting greedy. We did have a game yesterday with top Cassiopeia against Huni, which I was just like, of course it's against Huni.
And of course Zed coming out for BDD as well.
What a
felt
day.
Good. Those were some good games.
Look, if you guys drop this broadcast and go watch the VODs, I won't be offended. They were really great for that second series, but we'd love you to stick around. I'm feeling it. I got some excitement here on the side of Samsung because I want to see how good they can be with Ultra Comfort, because everyone here, barring, subbing in Victor, for example, or Zyra, is pretty much on Ultra Comfort. And every time I see Cuvée excelling with a top lane carry, I get more and more hopeful for what playoffs looks like for Samsung, because they fell apart the moment they had to go carries against KT Rolster in depressing fashion, honestly. I was ready for a great series. Samsung, I thought they could match with SKT, maybe take a game off them, make it a series. KT Rolster, didn't know where they were at. And then Samsung, and specifically Cuvée, rolled over and died. So I'm really excited to see Cuvée keep refining the Kled, work on his other champs. We know he can play the Camille, for example. And if that weakness or that kind of oversight when it comes to drafting is gone, I think otherwise Samsung looked pretty great.
Yeah. Just be starting things off nice and slowly here, Crowd. Did take away one of those little raptors. But otherwise, Mission will be making his way through the jungle pretty much unhindered.
If he wants to focus top lane, that's probably what behooves him in the early game. Push advantage in bot and mid lane, and then a outscale matchup in top. So top is the only lane that will be pushed in, so it makes a lot of sense to try to bully the Rumble, because if you get 3 winning lanes, then we've already seen that as getting up there to 80 to 100% win rate is, well, this is the story of Jarvan Jungle.
That's all right. He's got the smite, get that HP back, so he's K.
But he has to use the smite on red camp. You honestly want to use the smite kind of as an emergency as you go further and further through, getting more greedy camps. So you kind of struggle your way through 3 camps. And let me tell you, Jarvan does not enjoy doing the Raptors at all.
Yeah, it's a bit of a pain. You only hit a few of them when you use your spear.
Yeah, it's not great.
So we'll see what happens, see if he's going to have that aggressive Tiamat rush come through, or if he's just going to go straight in for something like this. The Cinder Hulk, keep himself safe.
Nope, he's going to go straight in for a bit more regen, because those camps are still fearsome for Jarvan.
Right. Hunter's Potion it is.
I missed level 2 gank every game, Jarvan. Made things fun. Except if you were a laner, made it no fun.
Oh yeah, that was always the big pain. Mine was always the wraparound. When I'm playing top lane, I used to play it a lot in Season 3. The wraparound through Tri-Brush from Xin Zhao and just locks you down, kills you.
Do you remember the even scarier version of that? The wraparound level 2 Alistair headbutt you away from turret for the, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, or when Alistair top was a thing, but here we go. It's going to be engagement. Actually,
Crown's
Crown
up here.
rotates up to the top side, overheat in onto ADD. He goes low. That's going to be the seismic shove. Forces out the flash, but he still goes down. First blood picked up by Cuvee.
AD was really outplayed. The way Crown played it, he put down the E and then actually surprised him with the shove. It looked like it was going to be the mind game of see seismic shove, flash it. Didn't get a sight of it. Had to respect also the bear trap on a rope. Really nice duo gank and Crown. Just casually ghosting top lane. We talked about getting the snowball started. Well, Cuvee's got the gold and whoop. Now really worrying times for MVP.
Yeah, and he's not going to suffer at all as far as the CS is concerned. Both mid laners coming back in with 26 each. So double Doran's ring over here for Crown. Going to be matching that of Ian's, but now he's got that soul magic mantle to just help take away a bit of that damage coming through from the Orianna. In a very nice spot at the moment is Samsung, and especially Cuvee comes back in with those double long.
And you know what? I can tell you what Crown's going to build with that null magic mantle. I guess I can't tell you what, but it's between two items, the Banshee Veil and the Merc Treads, which he will almost certainly build both of. Crown has been one of the biggest converts for the new Banshee Veil. Basically, you can always pencil in, regardless of champions, double Doran's, Banshee Veil, haunting guys into Leandri's. He'd really like Sorcerer's Shoes, but sometimes he's forced to get Merc Treads. And basically on every champion, short of the Victor and his Hex Core, that is where Crown goes, and he's looked very deadly on the Talia, so I don't expect anything different in this scenario.
Maybe if we see him start, picking up some of these melee assassins, like the Zed, the Talon, which we haven't seen yet, but maybe then he'll stray away from the Banshee's Veil, since it does have that AP on it now, but even then, maybe he...
His only AD assassin was Yasuo, Kilios, and I'm waiting for some more Yasuo buffs, because, I mean, he's banned in every solo queue game anyway.
Everybody who just heard you say that is cringing.
Yeah, but the thing is, in solo queue, I know he's going to be banned, so I don't have to deal with him. In competitive play, it's super fun to watch. Whenever you get the Yasuo, I remember when I was casting LPL and we had Cacao Rookie going mid lane Yasuo, Lee Sin every game. That was great. It's great in solo queue, so it's great in competitive play, and it's absent in solo queue, so I don't know. I welcome these new overlords, Kilios.
That's fair. 10-ban system.
It's doing work.
Forward,
It's doing work against solo queue Yasuo.
Once we get our hands on that in solo queue, then yeah, I guess I could support some Yasuo buffs. But for now, it sounds absolutely dreadful.
Well, that's like your opinion, man.
Is that a movie you've seen?
Let's go with yes.
The Big Lebowski?
I have seen The Big
Okay.
Lebowski. I thought that was a Big Lebowski reference. I couldn't be sure.
Thank goodness.
I've seen The Big Lebowski, but that could have been from a previous movie that I hadn't seen. I'm familiar with the dude.
Good.
I watched it actually
he abides,
pretty recently, last year. So I'm late convert there.
Just
Ambition's
forward.
here.
Deadly Flourish comes through. As they lock in Core JJ.
He's got ultimate.
Pushing forward. It's going to be forcing out the flash as both Max and Maha lose theirs.
And we kind of come full circle where Body Slam is enough to draw two flashes, even with the, almost year ago nerfs to the Gragas Cask. So Ambition getting a lot of respect, and his Keystone is actually worth discussing, as we'll just judge how much damage comes in here.
Through, pulls back ADD, taking a lot, overheated yet again, but still will be able to walk out with his life this time around now, beyond paying a visit down to the bottom lane. Doesn't go through the flag and drag. It's a bit down onto Ruler, but still can't find the opening, and Ambition is still nearby. Checking forward with the barrel, they walk into the brush, they have him surrounded. It is level 6 for the Gragas. He wants to try to isolate somebody like Maha. But Ruler's not quite there for the Chain of Corruption.
A lot of pressure being applied. Ambition being 6 and Beyond being 5. They have just that extra ability, and it's certainly a critical one. AD doesn't have teleport, so they have to start giving up objectives. And two pushing lanes and the pressure in the top lane for the Kled lets you know that already Beyond is kind of running around his jungle with his tail between his legs, and the game plan's going exactly as expected for Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, he's nearly a full level behind. As far as the experience is concerned, he had just hit 5 when rotating down to the bottom side.
Remember, he could have not picked Jungle Jarvan. They didn't need to do this.
MVP could have not picked several things.
They could have played Jungle Rumble and just cleared camps really fast. But they decided to go this way, and you can't really do anything other than hold up your hands and say, well, you chose this. This was the fate you chose.
That's when they have that post-game interview or something, and they're like, oh, it was supposed to be a support Jarvan.
We've been there before with the Spot Rengar.
I would not be shocked
That was among the most shocking things said in an interview where they're like, oh, it was just an accident, we wanted to flex the Rengar. I was like, okay, all right. I'm tilted now. But the Stoneborn Pact has been picked up by Ambition. Used to be Bond of Stone with the same icon, but does get him 5% more HP, which it would certainly be going into after he's finished with his Runic Echo. And apart from that, it is also going to be his Q, and a bit of the ultimate as well, W included. Basically all his abilities do apply some sort of CC effect, and thus will be proccing the extra lifesteal for someone like Ruler and maybe even Kled to profit.
Good setup. Ruler already going to have quite a bit of lifesteal. Has that Bilgewater Cutlass completed down here in the bottom lane. Picks up the cloth armor for the Ninja Tabi. Whereas Maha, he is in a bit of a hole at the moment. Down 15 CS, just the double longsword coming through as he tries to get that serrated Dirk. Rough times for the Jhin, as you might expect. It's just getting poked down by this combo.
Beyond is just slowly farming. ADD. He doesn't have kill pressure on him by QV just yet, but we're pretty close to that point. And drafting for comp, drafting the Rumble for a team fight comp, which you do have an insane initiation. Don't get me wrong.
Black Drag Cataclysm with the ball delivery on top of it.
With Equalizer, like that was big in Season 5, especially as an initiation comp, Season 4 as well. But the cost you have to pay is basically losing in almost every way in the early game, which you did see that already earlier yesterday. Here we go.
Yeah, get a bit of a lockdown here as Max going to get booped back in. He just gets taken down. Body slam, not even required. Cask just delivers him straight into the open arms of Ruler. He takes him down with a piercing arrow.
Yeah, fortunately, the extra items are there on the side of Samsung. It's powering down the front line as Max went in a little bit too early for the Jarvan, who needs to be initiating. They've given up so much to win late-game team fights, they might be too far gold behind Achilles and 4-1 available with how much pressure Kled is going to have in Rumble after the self-counter pick. They're going to continue. They're posturing on bot side. Samsung want to break a turret soon.
Already knocked it down below half HP, but the Galio is coming back in, and Max is level 6. We'll have that hero's entrance available at the moment. Just keep the push going. Line wave clear, something that this Varus does best. So they'll just maintain that pressure, but first Brick going to elude them for a little bit longer.
Does feel like a waiting game, though. That's kind of where we're at in this game. All MVP can do is really let all the lanes be dictated by Samsung Galaxy and then farm up. That's kind of the best case scenario, and we saw that in the last game of Longzhu versus SKT yesterday, but that was with very obvious payoff with Fiora and Kassadin being among the strongest in the late game, Xayah spiking at 3 items. MVP do have great teamfight tools, but teamfights when you're behind and being split by a Kled are very difficult to pull off in a way to actually make the most, to maximize what they've drafted to. So on MVP to keeping up the CS and also really know when the go button is there. Is their comp strong enough behind in gold in most roles to actually still make their wombo initiation work?
Well, you can tell that Samsung are in a comfortable spot because Crown has picked up his Sword Boots. Says, you know what, I don't need the Merc Treads this time around. We're doing pretty well for just 12 minutes into this game.
Also has the Fiendish Codex on the way to the Banshee Veil as well. Remember Negatron Cloaks in the mid lane? Now only Galio gets to build them. As everyone else, Abyssal Scepter is no longer a mage item. Banshee Veil building out of no Magic Mantle.
Yeah, I remember playing my first game with the item changes coming through, and I was playing Ahri in mid and just kind of, mindlessly started building the Abyssal Scepter, and suddenly I realized, wait a second, there's no AP on this.
This wasn't for you, Achilles.
Yeah, it wasn't.
You were not the target demographic of the Abyssal Scepter anymore. I'm waiting for the new staple build. I think one of the reasons why we've seen so little LeBlanc is you can go double Doran's, double Null Magic Mantle, build Banshee and Merc Treads at some point, and she doesn't really have a window to boss you around. It's 50 magic resist from 2 Null Magic Mantles, so we're in a really good spot to deal with LeBlanc. We've had so little LeBlanc in summer.
Well, efficient, having the timer here for this red buff. Hovering around the area, level 8 on both of these junglers. Ward's down, so completely envisioned. They'll deny as they throw down that scry right there. Just trying to get rid of the ward, but actually red buff does
does register.
Yeah, picked up here by Beyond, takes that one away.
Such a fight, even to claim your own red buff with this Jarvan jungle. Max face checking in that scenario. We do retain to normalcy. Kind of concerning to see QV already with a CS advantage. Not much to speak about, but it's what it represents given where 2 items goes for the Kled versus Rumble matchup. That's the bigger worry for the side of MVP.
We'll will be a retreat here from Samsung. Start up that Ocean Drake, but with the wards getting cleared out, they want to go ahead and peel back. We're going to pick up those little shrines, gets himself healed back up. He'll be okay. So the gank, the roam down to the bottom side, not really going to be fruitful for MVP.
Yeah. The only vision Samsung have gotten with their pressure is just around enemy red buff, which they couldn't claim this time, and the Krug. So they have ideas about where Jarvan is, so that really helps with overextensions in other lanes. But they don't really have control around the Drake, which seems like a pretty straightforward objective. And the Rift Herald has been one of the biggest objectives for Samsung, should be a very reliable one. No one's been putting wards in top side, so Cuvée decides to just cheekily steal a blue buff. We'll be able to pass it over to the Taliyah, so that's ideal from the side of Samsung Galaxy. But given how good Samsung have been about using the Rift Herald, I want to see some attention on picking that up in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, surprisingly, it's not even that much attention as far as MVP's vision is concerned. You would think that they would be trying to play around that, deny that away from Samsung. They don't even have wards in the area really outside of the one in the top lane brush. But it seems like they're just not that worried about it. Instead, MVP find an opening to go ahead and pick up that first Drake of the game. Ocean over to them. Mountain will be the next one around. This is going to be a shockwave now, down in on the ground. Flag and drag comes through. Ambition here to try to keep his Taliyah safe. The flash forward out of the Cataclysm comes up with the hit. Now Ambition not going to be landing that cask. Gets saved right at the last second by Core JJ.
A dramatic pose from Beyond in Q animation as he was turned golden. That was Zac-esque. The Zac Zonia days sadly behind us. But nice focus there onto the side of MVP. They look like they really understood exactly how much damage they do as ADDs understand the struggle he's going to be on in terms of damage done in the top lane. But that was good from Samsung. The first thing to really arrest all the pressure has been played by Samsung, and they're going to get at least a good chunk out of mid lane turret as well.
Good little opening there. Good rotation from Beyond to come up with that kill. Falling through very closely with the flash. Samsung still going to be maintaining a lead, but it gets shrunk down just a little bit here. 1.4 thousand gold up. At the current moment, that first brick still not coming through.
Crown is summonerless, but did rush Banshee Veil, so a little bit less threat there than for other mid laners. We haven't seen the Weaver's Wall used at all. It's actually second rank in it already. And, you know, I feel like we might see it now.
Well, there we go. Comes in for a ride, cuts them straight in underneath the turret. Just a sponge forward here from Max with the taunts. Only going to find one as he locks down Ambition. Deadly Flourish won't catch. Will be able to body slam away. The turret is going to stand, but they get the TP out of ADD, and this can open up Cuvée to get a nice shove in onto the top lane.
Yeah, Samsung, if they could have actually applied a bit more pressure there, might have forced Rumble to stay away or stay around for another lane, and that might have, like you say, represented the top lane turret going down. We haven't seen the health of the top lane turret in a while.
I don't think it's been touched, really.
A lot of AD on the side of Kled already, who's finished his Black Cleaver. Hasn't gone Marin-esque and gone for a cull in this matchup, but otherwise still very powerful.
I mean, Marin's just call on pretty much anything.
He finds a way.
He's obsessed with that item. Well, yeah, getting quite a bit of damage through. So all of the turrets actually at the moment are about equal HP for the side of MVP, which is a bad spot to be in.
They're 1,500 gold ahead right now, Samsung. But like you say, kind of blink and it'll be 5,000 given all the global gold. As finally some of that global gold will be claimed, and Ambition decides he wants some of it.
Yeah, just the walk down coming through, even with Crown not having that Weaver's Wall ready to go. Still enough pressure from Ambition showing his face that they have to peel back and surrender that first brick.
Now the casual roam into mid lane. They want
Tempered Fate thrown out. Locks down the turret. They don't quite get the catch onto Ian, which is what they were looking for. Could have timed it perfectly with the explosive cast and knock him in. They're not going to find it.
That's why you kind of have to criticize it. I like the idea he was going for, but it felt like no one was on the same wavelength as Core JJ, and thus just really a wasted ultimate, all things considered. Wasn't much synergy there. Neither of the people rotating with them looked like they were interested in making a aggressive turret dive, but turret HP value is starting to get low. Varus unlocked on the map, and time to get Academic. Take out all those out of turrets.
Yep, which is why Ruler's just going to be showing face here in the mid lane. So let's go ahead, scooping that up. The Scrying Plant comes through, spots them all out at the Rift Herald.
They know that they don't have the ultimate here from the Bard. Tempered Fate down.
Yeah, Vision can't be found here in the pit. It's about 5,500 now on this Rift Herald. ADD here to back up. There's going to be the charge coming through as Cuvée arrives. Latches straight in immediately onto ADD. Jumps him out a bit. Rift Herald going low, but it will be taken by Beyond. Has the smite to go ahead and pick that one up. Now the Flag of Dragon knocks up Ambition. He goes down. Cuvée really far forward, kind of in no man's land. Will be losing out on Scarl as he tries to kite back, and Ruler is caught out in the Cataclysm. Hero's entrance from Max takes him down. They do answer one in on the Beyond, but so far still going to be the 2-for-1 in favor of MVP plus the Rift Herald.
Yeah, a lot of low health members. Talia, not on worked ground, wanted to keep fighting but couldn't find any more. They trade down to Samsung. The Rift Herald was claimed. Ambition trying to stand on it like we saw all the fights yesterday between SKT and Longzhu over being able to actually take the Rift Herald. We see the replay was well claimed. Ambition thought that he had the latitude to try and body block it being picked up. He didn't. They could turn onto Cube as well. Samsung weren't really committing, and they weren't really making it their last Alamo. So in the end, it was pretty awkward stuff from them. With a comp that does so many things well, against a comp that only does one thing well, which is fight in territory like this.
Gotta say, it's a really satisfying death on the Ruler, the hero's entrance, just smacking him down. But MVP, putting up some numbers now, 3-3 in kills, have that Rift Herald, which they can use to go ahead and potentially even up this turret count where it's 2-0 at the moment for Samsung, get some of that gold back. Is at the moment down by about 3.3 thousand.
Just remember, this comp only does one thing. It only team fights. They do not have other options. They will lose in specifically the Kled versus Rumble matchup. Oriana's not as good in the side lane as Talia is. The flexibility is still real from Samsung, but hey, if they just keep running at them 5v5 mindlessly, they can still lose the game. So, worth noting here that MVP have drafted for situations like that, and it's around Samsung playing around the one scenario where MVP come up trumps.
Or JJ, maybe in a dangerous spot. Ball comes over the wall. Not have the shockwave follow up. He just takes a magical journey out to safety.
I feel like if he had shockwaved instantly, it would have actually pulled him back. There was a chance there, but again, a big high priority on taking down Core JJ. Wouldn't have unlocked a real objective for them as Baron has just spawned. Rift Herald, we're watching here, available for Jarvan. Couple more minutes, about 2 more minutes of uptime. Which lane do they try and crash is going to be an interesting question. Mid lane is kind of the, well, if I'm going to get one turret, I want it to be mid lane, but wave clear is good on the side of Samsung, and Ambition will probably smite it the moment it comes up as well.
Well, first we might have a fight over the Mountain Drake. Well, we'll start it up, but actually there's going to be the Rift Herald getting summoned out here straight into the mid lane.
I just saw a super cool thing yesterday. I don't know if you caught it actually, Achilleos, but we saw the Flash Galio engage from Scepted to interrupt the channel of the Rift Herald, and that actually kills it. So it was a big investment. How does this work?
Well, apparently you just don't get anything off the charge.
Ah, you do. You still register the damage as far as I can tell. That was a more healthy turret. I kind of want to see a replay of that because now I'm second-guessing myself, but that was very interesting.
Get another look at that one. In the meantime, Mountain Drake does get started up. That's going to be Weaver's Wall thrown down. It's taken away here by Beyond, smites it away, and Samsung's a little bit too late to the party to try to claim that objective.
Yeah, that means MVP once again have had the inside track. Those ultimates still available from MVP, and Samsung this time are going to show a bit more measured respect, but MVP creeping back, have both of the Drakes and also got the Baron.
Have to go ahead and take another look at that. At some point to see the, clarify that interaction. I didn't quite catch the HP before that charge came through from the Rift Herald. I would expect that since Core JJ threw down the Tempered Fate, that maybe it doesn't register. Perhaps he is familiar with that interaction.
I mean, Tempered Fate does make things invulnerable, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I believe it did happen, so goes against what I say. That's really big interaction and kind of a Bard exclusive one.
Yeah. Not really any other ways to do that, so very nicely done. But now MVP, this newfound Mountain Drake going to be pushing straight up through the mid lane. Are able to finish that one out in the end. So Rift Herald didn't gain them much ground, but did set them up for the take in the end.
I still respect being shown. Ultimate stuff. Speaking of ultimates.
Cataclysm with the heroes that just coming through. Max yet again, just stomping out Ruler from the skies, comes down and finds the kill. Now taunted onto Ambition. He goes low, has to retreat back further underneath this turret. Off-screen Crown is able to finish off Beyond, but can they find anything else? Weaver's Wall is not going to be available.
It's just a 1-for-1. Used a lot of ultimates, and now Samsung in every way is stronger. So the fact that the kill was cleaned up by Crown, Samsung once again have run of the map, but you really can't argue with the results when everything works, because even Cataclysm into Grand Entrance, your flash is down on the Ruler, you are dead 100% of the time. That's kind of been their priority.
You need the Bard with you to take a magical journey through the Cataclysm.
I mean, you need the Bard almost to just ult the Varus instantly, and then that would negate at least 2 ultimates almost instantly.
It's true.
Cataclysmic Entrance is what we've dubbed the Jarvan and Galio synergy.
Yeah. That's it's pretty massive, and honestly wouldn't be too surprised if we start seeing this combo come through a bit more, maybe with the J4 in the top lane, where he's been a bit more of a bruiser.
I'm a bit more of a fan of the Galio-Rakan synergy, because I feel like that, the quickness into the guaranteed grand entrance, then you get the weird grand entrance and heroic entrance situation.
Charm with heroic entrance into the knock-up, into the taunt.
Because Rakan gets into the team fight so fast and then just jumps out. Of course, it doesn't change where the heroic entrance is positioned. I feel like Rakan has the most synergy, but, I mean, you can't really mess with results, and Jarvan and Galio ults. Flashes being down on the enemy is pretty straightforward as well.
Juve, too far forward here, taunt, throwing in size, not going to clip him, but he still uses the charge.
That was not much of a charge. Anticlimactic charge there.
It was like a bit of a skip.
It was a bit of a
couple strides, and that's all he got.
He was actually out of range of the taunt the whole time, but sometimes those visual indicators can be misleading.
He got out of breath really quickly, you know?
Samsung trying to play the map. They have control wards down. They have a strong side. They also have Kled versus Rumble. And Rumble decides, nope, not interested in that. Understandably, now that we have 2 items on Samsung's top laner.
Next, still going for the engages here with the taunt. In the meantime, Crown splitting up that top side. We'll get a wave crashing into the turret.
And it will only be an engage. MVP have 1 shot. They really need to use everything perfectly, or you return to Talia pushing in top, Kled with kill pressure on Rumble. So it's not about repeated engage, it's about really making one decision and pulling it off every time. When flashes are down, perfect timing there for MVP. When flashes are up, so much less reliable in making this wombo combo work.
I mean, honestly, even with Samsung being ahead like they are at the moment, you come to that crucial Baron fight, pull it off again, be huge. Ambition going forward, it's going to be the Hero's Entrance coming through from Max. Not going to find anything this time, and Beyond actually goes insanely low. Fate comes through, locks him in, Shockwave in onto Core JJ. He'll flash away, keep himself alive right at the last second, but the deadly flourish from Maha finds him from downtown. And that is going to be Samsung clearing out the wave and just peeling back.
Yeah, 1 for 0. Samsung forced to back away. Didn't even get any turret HP either. The heroic entrance reduced the damage. That's why they were dissuaded in the dive they were attempting. MVP keep up flashes. Not a lot used on the side of Samsung either. Ambition thought he saw an opportunity. Max there for the defensive heroic entrance. And we once again reset. How long are we going to reset for? Because MVP is certainly going to, at minimum, get vision around Baron.
Going ahead, they're going to go and start this up, throwing down the control wards, denying the vision out here from Samsung. Already down to about half HP. Remember, they do have that Mountain Drake.
It's charge.
Coming through from the backside. Cube going in. Ambition waiting to go over the wall. 2,000 HP on that Baron. It's way too late for the body slam. Won't be able to come up with the seal. Beyond smites it away. Now Cube just wreaking havoc onto ADD, but he gets knocked off a Scarl. Goes low. Has to retreat. In the meantime, Cataclysm comes down in on top of Ambition. Massive taunt comes through from Max, but he still pays for it with his life as Core JJ scoops up the kill. 2 for 0 so far from Samsung. Looking for more. Won't deny these Baron buffs from coming through. Flash forward from Ruler, comes up with a kill in onto ADD. Can they find more? Shockwave takes out Crown, just overstepping his boundaries. 2 will escape. The carries from MVP live with their Baron buffs, but that team just gets shattered by Samsung in the end.
It's a 1 for 3, but picking up the Baron is big for MVP. Well burst down. They got it in basically 1 rotation. At 1 second sitting at 2,500 HP, and the next second dead. Watch the Baron HP here. It's really interesting. So it's at 13, it's at 2,500, and then by the time Ambition completes his body slam over, it's dead. From there, they've got the objective. But Cuvée in the front line stays alive for the longest time. Even with the full channel of the Jhin ultimate, it's a 4-man chase from the side of Samsung Galaxy. They largely do clean up. Only error really is made by Crown, our regular season MVP last season, not respecting the fact that the Shockwave is still up.
Yeah. Tries to get that seismic shove, but gets taken down. So Ian, if he could have found an opening for that Shockwave earlier on, could have been a massively different fight for the side of MVP, but they do still have 2 of these Baron buffs. See how much they can get done with it, because they're still in that gold deficit, but it is shrinking a bit.
And they are largely forcing Samsung to play to the tune of MVP's initiation, which they have basically endless amounts of. Samsung haven't been able to make much happen in the side lanes like it looked like they've been able to. With Baron buffs especially, they're going to have to once again play reactionarily. And with just a single win condition, MVP have largely excelled at it. Pick comps was their win condition in spring. It's not quite a pick comp, but pretty close to that. It's a strong initiation teamfight comp this time from MVP, and they tried other scattered identities when they played recent series, and this looks a lot more convincing.
Yeah, see him just forcing up that turret, take it out, the wave clear, not going to be strong from the side of Ambition. So that Ruler there to offer up those piercing arrows. They're able to go ahead and knock down their first tier 2 turret.
See if Samsung find some of the holes in the comp here, baiting a couple of ultimates that will really release pressure from Samsung Galaxy. Also realizing that everyone's diving and Maha is just going to open up right behind. So getting some flank wards, potentially the charge to both interrupt and lead to Jin's inevitable death. Something they consider. Fighting front to back, which is usually what Samsung is famous for, and certainly what Taliyah and Varus are strongest at, is going to be a struggle. So hold on to the Tempered Fate. Use that to either take out the Jin ultimate or have the charge on point to interrupt it, and things will go better for Samsung Galaxy.
See how they pull it off, then misstepping a bit here around that Baron. And now just 1,000 gold separating these two teams, so big swing back in for MVP, even losing 3 members around the Baron. Still bodes well for their future as they keep pushing forward.
Mission's gone for Adaptive Helm. It's good against Equalizer and in general Rumble, because Flame Spitter and Equalizer are both damage over times. I'm kind of not convinced at it against a Orianna, despite her short cooldowns. And Spirit Visage is so strong on the side of Gragas that can't help but wonder if people are just overemphasizing new items and not focusing on core strengths like Spirit Visage on champions like Mundo and Gragas. MVP just take another turret though, and Samsung finally build up a wave in the bot lane, but QV doesn't have defensive vision for it. It's like we've talked about inappropriate visions in 1-3-1s and 4-1s a lot this week, but it's happened pretty repeatedly, and thus QV gets the minimum. Maybe a red buff steal at best, they don't get any other turrets, and somehow the turret game is actually advantage MVP.
Yeah, bringing it to the 4-3, and just a couple hundred gold now separating the squads. Got the 1 tier 2 turret off the Baron buff. Really besides that. But they keep their hopes alive in the game, and now they're going to be looking for the fight.
Cancel on the ultimate.
Yeah, immediately canceling that one out. Now the pinch from the side as ADD goes low. Heroic entrance coming through. Will pop up QV. He's not going to have HP. Almost down off the Scarl. Meanwhile, at the backside of the fight, Cataclysm comes down straight in onto Ruler. But he's got a flag and drag his way out of there, but he still goes down beyond the first one to fall. And ADD going to follow as soon as the double kill comes through for Ruler.
Nice Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, Crown trying to cut them off. Forces out the flash here as Maha tries to retreat. Max Justice punching back in underneath the turret, but Ambition is tanky enough to go ahead, push in, says no problem here, guys. You go ahead, finish him off. A triple kill delayed for Ruler as he picks that one up. Now they're looking for even more. Maha, dead to the rights underneath his own turret, will fall. The 4-for-0, and just like that, Samsung say, wait, didn't we have a gold lead? Okay, let's go ahead and get that.
And that's sort of creative team fighting I was hoping for, craving for from Samsung, and they turned the game on their head. No longer were MVP allowed to set out the sort of initiation they've done in previous fights. Well played around terrain, and the game might be over.
It's 3 seconds here for Beyond. Can they hold on? Still doesn't have the Cataclysm, and the turrets are under siege. First one getting ready to go down. Ambition playing very far forward, trying to cheat Ian back, make sure that he can't get the shockwave down onto his teammates. Nexus now exposed. Triple man shockwave does come through. Several members low. Score JJ tries to retreat. Ruler's going to get picked off at MVP. They will actually hold on to this Nexus.
They do keep the game going. We dropped our overlay thinking the game might be ending. Not happening this time. MVP holds strong. Samsung really could have just backed off. They saw the death time. They should have known that it was going to be, at best, 2 Nexus turrets. Regardless, they certainly have some very clear paths to work around. Baron not spawned yet. The Drake not spawned yet, so will not be heavily punished. We see the replay, and this is totally different. Maha hears the charge and cancels ultimate. I imagine that was a cancel on his part. Can't know for sure, of course. And from there, finally Samsung are allowed largely to play front to back. Only a single man shockwave. The heroic entrance not doing massive work either. Was already used defensively onto the position that Maha occupied. And I love the Weaver's Wall, forcing an instant flash from the Orianna. Max leaving as well, and from here, just teleport back in, home guard coming through from the Kled, and from there, really clean stuff from Samsung. Finally, flipping the script that had been written, MVP teamfight wins for the last couple.
It gets a little bit messy after this replay for sure.
Oh yeah.
But you can see nothing going to be gained from MVP in that downtime where several members of Samsung were dead. So couldn't posture for it, could not take out another tier 2 turret. Instead, set up vision, inside the pit with that control ward around Baron.
A lot of the itemization here from Maha is really focused, as always, on the Jhin ultimate. So getting fourth shots off against a team like Samsung is going to be very difficult, even with the Infinity Edge he picked up early. There is that ultimate.
Eckhart call comes through, looking for Ruler. He's in vision. Last shot comes through, but only 357 damage.
One of the only places where MVP will have a significant advantage is fighting around Baron, given how much AoE initiation and damage they have. And so Samsung probably don't want to play around the Baron. They don't need it to win. They just need to literally have 5 people auto-attacking the enemy Nexus. So it's on MVP largely to be forced.
We'll see. Right now they do have control over the area. Skull grab vision down as well.
Have their minion waves in order, Samsung, so that's probably going to be their first objective.
Ambition working at top lane into a good spot. They're pushing against MVP in the bot lane. Might need a little bit of attention from somebody on the side of Samsung. But no TP for Cuvée. Wants to stick in with the squad. So it seems like they'll just be operating as a 5-man around this mid lane where they just still have pressure from those super creeps innately.
I mean, amusingly, they can just charge the Nexus, you know? That's something they can do with the massive movement speed. Use it as a Sivir ultimate, nothing more.
I would love to see Cuvée just charge it from the sidelines, wraps his way around the bottom lane, just starts backdooring.
Just wait till some minions push up. He has teleport and charge to get in there, and he does a lot of AD damage, so probably actually able to do most of the Nexus damage during the recall, given that we don't have empowered recalls on the side of MVP, but perhaps that's too fanciful. Perhaps it'll just be used for engage.
So it's going to be a bit of a standoff. Both teams pushing back and forth against each other in this mid lane. Going to work them back. There's a recall coming out from Maha. Samsung, do they want to go in with this one? The Chain of Corruption comes down in onto Max. Weaver's Wall, cutting off ADD and the Galio.
And look where Samsung is going!
They're going to go ahead. They're just going to chase straight in onto Maha. Hero's Entrance coming down. Shockwave completely going to win from the side of Ian.
What's the priority here for Samsung?
They want to just open up straight in onto the Nexus. Cuvée still jumping in onto Maha. Finishes him off as he gets knocked off of Scar on Crown. Cheating back around towards the fountain on his lonesome. Will not be able to finish off this Nexus by himself and might just pay for this one with his life.
He dies, still 3 members of Samsung. Start to back away. Maybe they've learned something.
Equalizer comes through, redemptions on both sides. MVP trying to hold on. TP out from Cuvée, went back to base, will be rejoining the team, and Ruler is here and he's full HP. He can just get into position, get his hands on that Nexus. See Cuvée dashing straight forward, trying to do just that. Knocked off the Scarl yet again. Cataclysm comes down, locks in 3 members. But the Zonius has to be popped by ADD. He's not outputting damage. He'll get taken down. Another double kill going over to Ruler, the triple, to finish off the game as he kills Max. And 36 minutes on the clock. Definitely messy from both sides, but Samsung do come up with a win.
Man, Samsung got so down and dirty. They had so many different ways to win this game. They could have had Kled split push. They could have played 1-3-1. Instead, they decided to play some team fights. Most of them went poorly. They won one of them, got a massive lead. Kind of tried to do their worst around the Nexus. That was repelled. And then they weren't even one-minded about trying to end the game with the charge. They first focused down the enemy AD carry, then Crown was all alone in the front line. They grouped up for the Cataclysm. Things could have gone a lot worse if the gold lead hadn't already set in at that point. Messy stuff from Samsung, but the result will say Samsung 1-0.
We'll see if they tighten it up for that game number 2, close it out with a 2-0, because that was a very swift first game. 36 minutes on the clock. It's only 5:45 here in Korea, Papa Smithy.
I'll say that Samsung's one-minded shot calling, especially in the late game with Ambition, has kind of been one of their famous strong points. We didn't see that in this game, and hey, might just be one game, craziness, etc., but it wasn't the same Samsung we've been led to expect.
Yeah. So we'll see if they go ahead, get themselves together. As we go to that break, come back in. We'll see what MVP is going to piece together as well. Because, you know, they flex that Galio to the bottom lane. They put J4 in the jungle. Had some moments. The Wombo combo potential was there, but they couldn't quite pull it off to get themselves in a lead for that win. So we'll see what they're going to come back with. Maybe we'll finally see that Blitzcrank come out if we see enough focus around the bottom lane supports again. We're going to go to that break. We'll be back in just a few minutes for game number 2.